What makes a confrontation so gripping? In our film Imitation, this particular scene sets the stage for a psychological battle between the protagonist and intruder. Through carefully crafted composition, the tension is not only felt but visually experienced. Space and isolation. The scene begins with symmetry composition. The characters are placed at the opposite end of the frame, divided by negative space. This symmetry creates a visual balance, but instead of harmony, it evokes unease. The protagonist appears small and confined within her side of the screen, visually representing her lack of power. The intruder's dominant presence fills her side of the frame, while the protagonist is dwarfed by her surroundings. The empty space between them becomes a metaphor for the emotional and psychological chasm that defines their relationship.
你在干什么？你究竟是谁？
Power dynamics, angles, and perspectives. As confrontation escalates, the camera shifts to POV shots. The intruder is captured from a low angle, towering over the viewer, exuding control and menace. In contrast, the protagonist is filmed from a high angle, emphasizing her vulnerability and fear. This contrast isn't just technical, it's emotional. By switching perspectives, the scene invites the audience to feel protagonist's fear while simultaneously being overwhelmed by the intruder's dominance. Light and shadow, duality of characters. Lighting plays a pivotal role in this scene. The intruder remains cloaked in shadow, making her mysterious and threatening. In contrast, the protagonist's face is partially illuminated, her expressions of fear and confusion fully visible. This contrast doesn't just separate the characters physically, it represents their roles. The protagonist is vulnerable and exposed, while the intruder hides in the darkness, embodying control and menace. Framing and entrapment. The environment became a character itself. Throughout the scene, the protagonist is often framed within doorways, windows, or surrounded by furniture. These visual boxes enclose her, symbolizing her entrapment both physically and emotionally. The intruder, on the other hand, often appears in open, unrestricted space, reinforcing her control over the situation. This compositional choice powerfully communicates the protagonist's sense of confinement and intruder's freedom to dominate. The confrontation in Imitation is more than just a clash of characters. It's visually representation of power, fear, and vulnerability. Through deliberate composition, the scene invites the audience to feel the protagonist's confinement and dread, making the tension all the more palpable.